Welcome back to In Case You Missed It Wrestling. I am your host, Blackhawk, and it's Tuesday, which means it's NXT Tuesday. We had a great show last week, and we're going to go over it. But before we get started, I want to let you know about some changes if you missed the Raw episode. The backstage segments now will be sort of a synopsis instead of a full line-for-line dialogue, because for the most part, they aren't super important. And we will be adding match ratings to each match so you can kind of understand where I'm coming from and where I'm going when I say this is the match of the night. And always, if you disagree with my ratings, feel free to comment down below. Tell me why I'm wrong. And one other announcement, specifically for NXT, WWE announced the Evolve show, which will be on Tubi, where it will be a lot of the NXT talent that has yet to actually debut on NXT, some regular NXT talent, and the WWE ID talent will be on this show. I have no idea how long it'll be, what all of it will encapsulate, but we will be adding the Evolve ratings and review into the NXT show. But if it ends up being a little too much, or they're actually doing a full show with Evolve, because I believe it's only going to be an hour, maybe 3 or 4 matches, and that'll be it. But if it's a full show with Evolve, we will move it to Wednesday, the day it's supposed to come out. But that's about a month away, so just be on the lookout for that. We would start off the show with the tag match of Julia and Bayley versus Cora Jade and Roxanne. This was an awesome match. Great match. Julia is still an awesome champ, and I believe we'll get her and Roxanne one-on-one one more time before she officially makes her jump to the main roster. We've seen Roxanne in the crowds of the main roster a handful of times the last couple months, so I'm assuming, just an assumption, but I'm assuming her call-up will be very, very soon. But Bayley would pin Cora Jade for the win, and I am rating this match an 85 out of 100, or a 4.25 stars. Real good match. Real good match. Bayley and Julia would have a handshake and sort of a friendly stare down after their match. We would move directly into an Eddie Thorpe vignette claiming he will be back and in the main event picture soon. I'm still not super high on Eddie Thorpe, but I'll tell you what, the vignette was good. This is the first vignette I've watched that I wasn't kind of just cringing at of his. So I don't know, man. I'm really just middle of the road on Eddie Thorpe. I'm on the fence. I'm just not sold on him being good yet, but I'm not sold on him being bad yet. So it's just kind of I don't really know. I don't know where I lay on Eddie Thorpe, but given more time, I'm sure I'll come around. I'm sure. I usually have a positive outlook on a lot of the wrestlers. I rarely have a negative view on them. And so it feels weird for me to be this way about Eddie, but I don't know. I don't know. He's been in the main event and I just don't see why. But we'd move into the Grayson Waller effect with Oba Femi. The Waller effect on this was super interesting. Obviously, they were in Atlanta, which is Austin Theory's hometown. He is somewhat of a hometown hero, especially with the NXT fans. They would boo Grayson Waller when he would ask a question and just beg for Austin Theory to turn his back on Grayson Waller, which they would do a funny little segment where Austin Theory would just turn around and it's like, he turned his back on me. But this was a interesting event, I will have to say. They bring Oba Femi out and they talk about his long North American Championship reign. And he asks him, that championship must feel right on your shoulder. And Oba would say, it's exactly where it needs to be. They would go on to say that Oba Femi is talked about very highly in the locker room. Everyone sees him as a main eventer on the main roster, but not them. They don't see it at all. And that's coming from a former United States champion. Oba would say, "So that's why you invited me here on your show. So you can tell me that you don't see my potential." That's very funny because I never saw either of you as NXT champion because neither of you have been champion. I think it's safe to say in the 2 years I've accomplished more than both of you have on NXT. Theory would say, "I understand what you've done here. You've done a lot of things because I want to see it for myself. I want to know if the hype is real because there's levels to this game. And yeah, you're the NXT champion, but we won the tag team championships at WrestleMania while you were in the suite with your little NXT jacket on, sipping a juice box and wishing and praying that one day you could do what we do. I want you to think about this one. When the ink is drying on your NXT contract, Austin Theory had already competed at 3 WrestleManias. Actually 4, but who's counting? You know, let's talk about you, man. You went on to a great high school. You had a full ride to Alabama, and now you're NXT champion. But me and Grayson Waller just got drafted to Monday Night Raw. And when it comes to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, that's the big leagues. But then there's a guy like you. We've seen it a million times. The top draft pick, someone like you, will end up in catering in 6 months. And then later, you're on the indies trying to sell t-shirts. Meanwhile, for A-Town Down Under, we've traveled all around the world. Me and Theory do is create unforgettable moments while being champion and climbing the ladder at WrestleMania. Oba would respond by saying, "I don't see any titles, and that's your problem. That's exactly why you both are here right now. Because of your big mouth, your lips, especially your lips. They keep writing checks that your hands can't cash. You think I got to where I am by running my mouth? I am building a dynasty. And trust me, it'll be built like moments. It'll be built from moments like you. I am building a dynasty. Trust me. Now it's time for one of you two to step up. Washington, D.C., February 15th. Which one of you will step up front?" Waller would take his step first. Ava would come out and say, "Before things get out of hand, I just want to come out here and remind you again that as much as you would love to, you don't make it the matches around here. I do." Trick Williams would come flying out of the back and attack A-Town Down Under and Obafemi. Obafemi would get his lick back and stand tall over Trick Williams. We would move into an Izzy Dame interview after that she would be asked about her relationship with Tony. She says that she only helped him in a time of need, like when he helped her, and there was nothing more. Ridge Holland would interject, angry at Izzy for last week, and Stax would come out to defend her. They would get to brawling. We would move into Trick Williams versus Wesley, and Trick Williams would still be in the ring from his little spat with Oba. They're a little banged up. Wesley is incredible. I have to say this time and time again, every time I watch him, he is incredible. He can sell like crazy. I mean, his selling is so good. He could sell ice to Eskimos, like that saying. It's so good. Even though that's about monetary sales, this is about wrestling sales. Probably him and Trick will be on the main roster within a year. I don't see them being in NXT any longer. They need to be in NXT a little bit longer, not because they need work or anything, but because NXT's men's division is talent starved almost. It is rough out there. But they would go on to have a great match. Would end in a disqualification after Trick Williams throws a ref after he tried to get him to stop attacking Wesley in the corner. And Trick Williams would crash out with a chair after the match, just slamming it on about anything he could get his hands on. I give this match a 79 out of 100, which is a 3.95 stars. It was good, you know? It was good. The match itself was a little above average, nothing too special, nothing too crazy, but the crash out behind it is what people will definitely remember. Ava is backstage looking for Trick, and when she finds him, she tells him about Obafemi versus both members of A Town Down Under in a triple threat match. Trick says that that's his opportunity and that he deserves it. Ava tells him that next week he has a tag match with Oba against A Town Down Under if he wants to prove that he should get his title shot. We would move into Fallon Henley versus Shotzi for the North American Women's Championship. Awesome match. Awesome match. Shotzi has been killing it since her return. She has shocked me because Shotzi debuted during a time that I didn't really pay attention to the WWE as much, right? And then she gets injured. I don't see her for a long time. I hear about her. I see her on the video game. She comes back and then gets injured again. And then she comes back. And she had that really cool moment at War Games 2 years ago. And then she gets injured again. Or this time, I think it was pregnancy. Either way, takes her time, comes back, and she is better than I remember her being. She is so good. She definitely deserves a mid-card title run for the women's division, without a doubt. And I think if that goes really well, we could see her at the top of the card, next couple of years. I think that's not that crazy to say anymore. Last year, if I would have said that, I probably would feel crazy. But this year, after seeing her come back, not crazy. That's not an insane thing to say. Fatal Influence and the rest of Chemical X, which is the group Shotzi's a part of, would start fighting pretty early on in the match and take themselves out to the backstage. Fallon Henley is so much better solo than with Fatal Influence. It's insane. She hasn't spent a lot of time without Fatal Influence in the last, 6 months, and so I've kind of forgotten about it. But she really shined in this match. She should leave Fatal Influence. Even though she's the leader of Fatal Influence, she should leave Fatal Influence. She's better without him. This was a really good match. I give it an 85 out of 100, which is a 4.25 stars. Fallon and Stephanie Vaquero would have a stare down after this match, looking towards their match at Vengeance Day. We would go backstage with Ava running around again. She was moving this episode. Roxanne is upset that she still hasn't gotten her rematch, and Ava announces at Vengeance Day it'll be Julia versus Bailey versus Roxanne. Roxanne is happy, and Cora Jade has a problem with it and storms out. This problem is never resolved or really even talked about. We would go into the women's locker room with Kalani Jordan and Carmen Petrovic. Carmen thanks Kalani for helping her last week. And Kalani says she didn't do it for her. She wanted Jada. And tells Carmen that they aren't friends. And Jada is right about Ashante. He is going to leave Carmen. We are seeing a new side of Kalani Jordan, and I kind of like it, but I also really liked the old side of Kalani Jordan. So, we'll have to see how it goes, right? We're still pretty early on this. It's only been going about 3 weeks, so maybe they're testing the waters with it, and if it doesn't work, she'll go back to being the happy, sweet girl that she was before. But we would move in to Ethan Page versus Cedric Alexander right after that, which is really good match. Really, really, really good match. Cedric Alexander is the most underrated wrestler on the WWE roster. Hands down, bar none, the most underrated. Him and Apollo Crews deserve so much more than they're getting right now. To be fair, Apollo Crews did get a win recently, but they should be in some sort of title contention. And I think I talked about this a little bit last week. We had some technical issues and didn't get to post the last 2 episodes last week, but it feels like the WWE roster doesn't have any gold chasers right now, which is really sad. Like, people like Cedric, even though he's in this feud with Ethan Page right now, it would be really cool to see them chase gold and have a goal and be dying to get gold. Not dying, but they want gold. It doesn't feel like anybody wants a championship anymore, other than like a handful of people. It feels like in the older days when you'd watch the shows, everybody wanted gold and everybody was doing whatever they could to get gold. And now it's just kind of like, I could do it if I want. I could go for it if I want. I could take it whenever I want. And then just don't do it. So it is a little annoying. And I wish we could see that out of Cedric because I think he would make a great North American champion. But this match was really, really good. Ethan Page continues to be just a dominant force. He would win this match and then assault Cedric right after. But before anything could really, really, really happen, Javon Evans would come out to assist and be able to fight back Ethan Page this time. So it's looking like he is looking healthy and looking good and probably making a return a lot sooner than I thought. I ended up giving this match an 84 out of 100, which is a 4.2. Really, really good match. Really, really solid. We would move into Fatal Influence. They tell Stephanie that they are coming for her. JC Jane announces that she has a match with Stephanie tonight. And Fallon says she will take care of her at Vengeance Day. So very, very interesting, especially because I believe Stephanie could probably take all 3 of them by herself, given the right situation. So we would move into the Meta Girls versus Naomi and Bianca Belair. Awesome, awesome tag match. Lash and Jakira are gaining so much confidence with every match they have on A, the main roster, or B, with Bianca and Naomi, or Bianca and Jade. They had a few missed spots, right? But they're still learning the business. They're still learning how to do these things. And Naomi and Bianca are longtime vets. So they were able to recover well and not make it so bad. They had a lot going for the rest of the match that really made up for these moments. So this match, I'm giving a 91 out of 100, which is a 4.55. Great match. Must watch. Naomi and Bianca would retain their championships. So this further proves my point that we might need a tag team championship down in NXT just for the women. And another thing I wanted to talk about is we should bring Night of Champions back. Every championship outside of the women's tag team championship has a counterpart on each show. And we should bring back the Night of Champions and have each champion face off with their counterpart from the other shows. That would make me so happy. Imagine Cody Rhodes, Gunther, and Obafemi all face off. We're looking at Julia, Rhea Ripley, and Tiffany Stratton. Crazy, right? We had a pretty short episode today, but we have a lot to look forward to tonight with the tag team match with Obafemi and Trick Williams versus A-Town Down Under, JC Jane versus Stephanie Vakir, a Vengeance Day Summit with Julia, Bailey, and Roxanne Perez, Carmen Petrovic versus Kalani Jordan, and Stax versus Ridge Holland. So a lot of action tonight. Let me know what you think about these a little bit shorter episodes, and I might work to cut down some more. The goal of this was to be able to tell you what happened the prior week so you could watch the episode tonight and not miss anything. And if I can do that in 15 minutes, I want to do that in 15 minutes. If I can do it in 30, I'd do it in 30. The goal is 30 right now, but if I can do it in 15, I'm going to do it in 15. But we'll see how this one turns out. NXT usually doesn't have a ton going on, and it's a 2-hour show for sure. There's no run over or anything like that. So the NXT episodes might end up being shorter in the future. And especially when we add Evolve, they'll get longer. But for about a month, they'll probably be pretty short, which I'm fine with. And if you're fine with that, then I'm fine with it for sure. But that'll be it for NXT. Make sure to tune in tonight if you can. And if not, I'll be here next week telling you everything that happened. So that'll be it for this episode. This has been In Case You Missed It Wrestling, and I am your host, Blackhawk. And I'll see you tomorrow for the Royal Rumble review.